What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And joining me this week are Ryan Hartman and Kris Straub. Hello!
Hi,
Hello.
great to see you.
I gotta be honest, Kris, that was the most subdued hi, and it's my favorite one now.
That's me.
That was Kris at like 10, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I was
Yeah.
I was trying to bring the energy for this,
Oh.
and that's
I
where
mean,
I
keep
top
bringing it
out.
because I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it a lot. If
No, I'm drained.
oh, okay,
That took a lot out of me.
If folks don't know who the two of you are, who are you for the fine folks who may not know? I'm leaving it up to you to decide who goes first.
You start, I'll interrupt.
All right, I like D&D.
I
very
am
much,
Ryan Hartman.
and I think
I am the vice president of Penny Arcade. I run PAX as my day-to-day. Also Donaar on the C team. Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team.
and I'm Kris Straub, and I also was on Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team, as Kris Straub. I'm a designer at Penny Arcade, and I do a lot of comics. I do a lot of horror stuff. Did Local 58, Earl Candle Cove. I'm a very cool, healthy person. I'm tall. I'm taller than you'd think.
How do you feel about long walks on the beach?
No,
Okay.
no. Never a beach. There's too much ocean there.
That's fair. That's fair. It's everywhere.
Steer clear.
Uneven footing. I don't like walking on sand.
No, thank you. Why is it not just one piece of ground? Why are so many tiny bits? Forget it.
Get on that
I
one.
like
Science.
Wasting your time.
I like
Don't
my ground to
bother.
pull itself together.
Yeah.
So I start these episodes off with a fun icebreaker question. At least I find it fun. And how did you both get into D&D? Kris, why don't we start with you? How did you get into D&D?
I came to it professionally very late, I think. But I had a brief sojourn with it when I was in like sixth grade, and I was in an after school group, and we were playing 3.5. And I don't remember much of it other than apparently my grades were starting to suffer, and my parents were like, "No, you're done with it."
D&D was the problem.
Well, I don't know if that was all of it, but so I only played a couple months at the time, and I really liked it. Like, I like drawing the character. I like, oh, I'm going to quantize this adventurer with these stats and get together and do it. But then after that, I didn't play it again until decades later. Probably 10, 9, like with a home game or two. And then I was very fortunate to play in games with such like laudable, profound DMs. It's like I did not cut my teeth on a bunch of smaller stuff in high school.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan?
The first time I played was, you all watched it. That was my first time playing D&D.
Oh, that's right. I forgot hearing about that. There's been a list of people on this show that have like their first time is recorded as a game. Like that has got to be a wild experience to just go on camera and be like, I'm going to play D&D now.
It is, and I'm acutely aware that it is not necessarily indicative of everyone's like first time or home experience, like being aware that you're being like recorded while you play. But like I had always like I had played Magic. I played CCGs a lot growing up. I was a big card gamer, so I played a lot. I had a hobby shop near my house that I frequented a lot, and there were people that played D&D there, and I was always like in the nerd space, like aware of it on the periphery. I knew of how it worked, but it was always, I mean, I get why people get intimidated by it, but just coming in sight unseen, it does seem like a lot, and it does seem like you have to like kind of put yourself out there a lot. But I never really I never had a chance really to jump in until here. And it's funny because when we were planning the show and we were talking about doing the show, and I was talking with Jerry, I was like, hey, we should stream, we should do a spin-off show. We were calling it like CSI Miami. We were like, this is going to be like a spin-off of AI, so we don't have to worry about getting like celebrity friends and stuff there. Like, we'll get a consistent a group so we can be there every week. And when we were picking the lineup, he was like, you should be on it. And I was like, I was going to be behind the scenes. I'm good. And he was like, the reason the first one did so well was because Mike didn't know what he was doing. He's like, we need someone who's never played before. So he's like, you're going to be the new Mike. You're going to be the person that learns with everyone else. And I was like, okay. And it was true. I will say that's the comment I get the most, like at PAXs when people want to talk. They're always like, I learned to play with you. I learned to play because you, which is super cool. That's like fun to be the ambassador for the game in that respect.
I definitely agree with that. Like one of the magic things of like the original podcast was Mike learning for the first time, because like that was actually when I was getting into D&D myself, and I found those podcasts, and so it was nice listening to those and be like, okay, there's at least one other person here on the same page as me. And those are actually some of my favorite games to watch in general. That like recently, the Baldur's Gate 3 voice actors did a game with Mark Humes, and a lot of them was their first time play. I love watching people play D&D for the first time, because that is usually when the most wild plans get made and tried, and sometimes succeed. So it's always a fun watch.
I love watching, like, they're voice actors, so they have training too.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like they're gonna be good at it. And like, I'm just some dude. I'm not like theater trained or anything. Because like this is not going to happen, so I will reveal it. For a while, I was talking to Ben Schwartz. He's a really nice guy, really funny, and I wanted to get him on AI. And he came through Seattle, and I talked to him actually, and I like gave him my pitch, and we went out after he came through and did a show, and I met with him afterwards, and I was like talking to him about it, and he was like nah, and I was like, it's D&D is just improv with like loose rules, and you are literally the god of improv. Like, you will be immediately the best person in the world at this if you just wanted to do it. But he was just like, he was like kind of like a little worried about it. I was like, you, of all people, you should be the least worried about it. But like anyone who's like, has like theater training or natural background or improv skills is going to immediately crush it with D&D.
Yes, that is why people watching out there, all of your theater friends tried to get you into D&D to begin with.
Yeah.
Before we continue, I do want to let chat know that yes, we are live today. There will be a giveaway at the middle of this show, so be sure to keep an eye out for that. I will give you a heads up. And also, you can put your questions into chat for both Ryan and Kris. You can put them in with question, and then your question. Our awesome mod, Gabe, grab them, put in a little text doc for me. But we're here today to talk about Donaar and Kris, and you know what? I think appropriately this time I'm gonna roll to see which one of you I'm gonna ask first. Let's see, who is it gonna be?
Just flip a coin. Or you can wait it.
What's funny, I have way more dice around me than I do coins. In fact, I don't think there is a coin within reach of me right now.
I'm now looking at him like I got nothing. Yeah, I got no money.
But Kris, tell me about Kris Straub.
Oh, what a tale. I can't wait to get in there. Ryan, do you remember, like, early on, you're like, you should do the show, C-Team. And I was like, oh, I would like to. I want to. And there was a question of, would I play Kris Straub, who was my self-insert from the Acquisitions Incorporated intros that I do for before every live game. Because I'm like, well, I'll never play. That's okay. Like, I'm doing this. I like having this space to, do intros and cue the audience up on what's coming and what the last adventure was. So the one where they were introducing Viari, Pat Rothfuss, there was like a dungeon room trials. Like, we're going to get another intern and let's see who shows up. And I did two jokes about that, two animations for that, and then the final one was I'm Kris Straub, I'm coming in, and then Viari kills Kris, and then he's like, nah, it's me, and I thought that's it, and then I'm just going to put him as a background character. But once it became like, no, I have to play that, I can't come up with some other thing, and there was a question for a while, like, I like bards, but like, again, Viari kind of, I mean, I know he's a rogue, but he had
a bardish quality to him.
Yeah. But then Jerry was saying, like, well, we don't have any like warlock, like a horror type thing. was like, oh, that's a space I can get into.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he or Kthris started as a drow, and a very curious sort. Found a black altar under the earth, and it shocked their hair black. And I have lichen grows on my face. It's not a beard because drow can't grow hair. Uh, so that's the canonical explanation of why that's okay. That had to be approved.
I appreciate the thought behind that because I genuinely never thought about why he had a beard.
No, they said you can't. You can't. There's no beard here. You
Really?
can't do that. I was like, wow, okay. Also,
Yeah,
doesn't Mask of Many Faces also like any disguise self situation? Like, well,
yeah.
you could have anything you want there. It's like, nah, the drow don't get them. No, they don't get them. No, no beard. Um, yeah, I like Ryan in the same way that I was going to mention that Donaar is kind of your self-insert in that like you hadn't played before, so your character is even like, what is this? What are we doing? Like has that sort of attitude about him. I wanted Kthris to not be afraid of the horrors because as a challenge to Jerry, she's like, no, this is insufficient. Like it should be make it more interesting. Like I can see through this. I'm not scared of a big mouth. Doesn't matter to me.
What was it the first live game where something happened and Kthris was blinded by something permanently?
Oh yeah.
No, you went crazy, right?
Yeah. Like it was in
Oh,
like
was
20 minutes of the game starting.
the very first one just before, was it just before C Team or maybe it just come out?
No, it was because you go from that to being in the alleyway outside of Ack Inc. Like you were on the main stage before the game.
Before the show. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
We
I
put
got
you
to
on
do
the
that.
on a PAX game, yeah, before the show, specifically before the show started, as like a feeder into it.
Yeah, no, it couldn't happen better. We're trying to figure out what happened to what was going on with the death curse that was plaguing Jim. And I was like, I'll contact other plane. I'll ask my God whether or not there's anything going on. So I never got to play Kthris. Oh, and I got a one. I rolled a one.
Yeah.
First roll. I never got to play Kthris as whatever they were prior to that. We don't know what they were. They could have been incredibly competent, but that was it. That was the end. That was the beginning. A wonderful start.
Well, we all love what Kthris became, so we're happy for that one. That's one of the best ones to ever be rolled.
All of C Team happens after that. Therefore, all of C Team is a dream of it. This is like ending of New Heart kind of.
Yeah. If it needs to be retconned, then that's the easy solution.
That's the epilogue for C Team you all need to do is where just Kthris, like, as someone goes into the bathroom and he's in the shower. Oh, what's wrong? He's just totally normal. So Ryan, tell me about Donaar Blitzen.
Yeah, I mean, Kris, do you remember when? Because I was talking to you a lot when I was first trying to put the character together. Because I was coming up with like a bunch of ideas. I remember one of the ones I was going with before I switched off because I was like using you as a sounding board. And I remember we were in my office and I was bouncing a bunch of stuff. Was where he was going to be enrolled entirely differently. Where he was like. It was like he was like some sort of like stage actor or like a stand-up comedian or something, and he was like an opening act for Jim, or he had like crossed paths with Jim, and he like kind of like a lower rank comic idolizing like Bill Burr or something, like a pro. Like
he'd be like, "Hey buddy, I played with you at the Comedy Store," and he'd be like, "What?"
And he's like, "I have no idea who you are." Yeah, and that could have been like a running bit. But like when I ended up with him, one of the big things I wanted was like I wanted him to be like dumb, like not smart, kind of like a bratty teen, because it was a way for me to hide that I didn't know what I was doing. Like if I ever mess up in game, I could just be like, well, that's in character, he's an idiot, so okay.
Yeah,
you didn't use your power the right way. It's like, well, he's a doofus, so it's canonical. It was a way to like hide my shortcomings as I was learning the game. And then I remember another thing I really wanted was just like it's a common trope. It's like Batman and Harry Potter and everyone's an orphan. So I was like, I don't want him to be an orphan. His family's still alive. His parents are still alive. Like, I just remember that was like a big thing. I wanted to make sure that was still there. There's conflict with him and he's not there for reasons, and I wrote a whole little thing around it. But like, I remember that was a big thing I wanted with the character. And then the rest was just me stealing from Naruto, essentially. I have one beat, and it's just I steal from anime as much as possible, and I steal from Naruto more than I steal from other animes. I don't know why. So he's like a shitty knockoff of Naruto.
What you're saying though about like cover up not knowing the game as well with the being doofus. I just kind of realized that I kind of did the similar thing with my first D&D character, because I DM'd for so long that when I got to be a player, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing now. This is completely different. And so I just made kind of a jackass character that it's like, hey, if he doesn't do the right thing, that's because I didn't know there was a right thing to do, because this sheet's complicated and more than a stat block.
Exactly. It became very, very helpful as we went along.
So both of you are on C Team. We've talked about it a bit and a little bit of its creation, but if folks somehow in the chat don't know what C Team is, what was C Team?
Who's C Team to you?
It was a spinoff of Acquisitions Incorporated, and it ran on what were the years that it was on Twitch? We streamed every Wednesday.
Because of the pandemic. It was like 5 years, but technically only like 4 or like 4.5
seasons. Yeah.
4 seasons, but 5 years, because the pandemic was kind of in the middle there.
So someone in the chat says 2017 to 2021.
Thank you. That sounds correct. Yeah. And it was us. Jerry Holkins was a DM. Kate Welch was Grandmother Knight. Rosie Beestinger. And Tristan Falcone was Walnut Dongras, which I think there was something about when we started this show. It's like, how silly is this going to be?
Yeah.
Or how serious is it going to be? And so like Dank Grass being her last name was like, no, but it's pronounced differently. And then I remember they had some like regret. I don't know, a couple months in, it was like, it feels like it's getting like, that's too silly of a name for what we're doing. It was like, no, it turned out it worked.
Yeah, no, Tris says it to this day, how upset they were about the name. I mean, Donaar Blitzen is my character's name.
God, how did I not notice that?
Oh yeah,
Rosie's the only one that's got a reasonable name.
Yeah, and I know, right? And then the other thing is, so no one really knows this because no one's really read the story, but I wrote a little story around Donaar's backstory, like what happens before he joins the C Team. And so he's got a cast of characters that are his family, and they're all named after reindeer. But I was like, it's too on the nose. I can't put like Vixen and stuff in there. So what I did was I took everyone's name. This is here's a fun character creation note for anyone who wants to make D&D characters. I just took their names. So it was like Prancer Vixen, smushed them together, and then I ran it through Babelfish or Google Translate. And I'm just going through other languages till I find one that looks cool and sounds fantasy-ish. And I'm like, there we go. So like, I took all it, like if someone really did it and they took all the names of the family characters, put it in there and went through, and it was like one's in like Finnish and one's in like Dutch. And they all sound fantasy-ish, but it's like, that's the Easter egg.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a great technique.
Yeah.
So yeah, both of you were on that show. What was the character arcs for your characters on that? Like did they kind of, were they the same character at the beginning and end, or?
That's a good question. I mean, technically, there's some time loop business for Kris, but like, did Donaar show growth?
I think he did towards the end.
Kind of,
sure. Yeah, I think he definitely did. Like, I tried to play him with an arc.
He became a father. Yeah,
oh dang, yeah.
And the type of father he'd be, but yeah.
No, I mean, there was definitely an arc for him. I feel like all the characters, I think we had a good trajectory. If anything, it's like now when we're doing like one-offs and stuff, because we still get together and play games every now and again. We did one not too long ago. It's like I kind of got to go back to old beats for the character. I'm a big believer in endings. Like I think all stories should have endings.
Same.
Yeah.
There was a oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's the like it's hard to go like make a big change and then, but it's like there's broad strokes for the character that everyone's familiar with, so you got to kind of go back to them, you know.
Yeah, you end up playing like a genericized version when you come back, because it's not like, oh well, what is he up to now? It's like, well, he's really into like painting, and then he hasn't picked up a sword in a long time. It's
really
like,
got into yoga.
Yeah. He was not available. He didn't show up. Kris was very I mean, probably still is, but like driven by, I want to know, I want to understand what is beyond death in a way that like is not, I had to come up with rules because like you can return from death in D&D.
Yeah.
But I had the logic of like, or I had to come up with a, like, you can't like say speak to dead and have them like say, oh, well, here's what happened. It's like, no, that's not true. That is not what it is like at all. And Kris was basically worshipped math, I suppose. But like this maybe goes into the, if we're going to segue into like favorite moments from C Team, was the in the Wandering Crypt when Kris had an opportunity to learn more about this god that he did not know, and he wanted to know more. And the place, like a trap had been triggered, and the place was filling with acid. And Donaar was like, "We got to go. Let's go." And Kris is like, "I'm gonna stay. I will fight you to stay." And it was, and Jerry's like, "All right, let's see some combat. Let's do it." And I was like, "That's cool. Like we could actually have that sort of inter-party conflict and see what that leads to story-wise." I was thankful that we went with it and wasn't like, "Why are we allowed to do this? Is that okay?" It's like, no, it was very cool. We did it from like a place of let's tell a story.
No, I always cite that as like a very formative moment for me in learning how the game works, because I'm like, oh, you're allowed to do that. And it was all in character. Like from a storytelling perspective, it all worked and it all made sense. But then from someone like playing a game, and I was like getting frustrated. I'm like, get your ass out of this death trap in the moment. But then I was like, that was cool. And that opened my eyes to like what you could do in D&D and in these kinds of games.
Yeah.
So sometimes not making the most, efficient optimum decision is the best for the story.
I think we struggled with that early on. Some of the early conversations was this is the case I've encountered in comics I've done, where it's like, this cast is full of annoying people. Why would they be friends? And so for a while we were like, well, we're coworkers, we are associates, and that's how we are, yeah, of course you're going to work in the same space. But like I think that was a very cool arc over the 4 years, was like, how did they sort of find each other and become a lot more familial, rather than just like, I work with them, but the heck with them. There's nothing preventing me from just abandoning this when the next cool thing shows up.
Yeah.
Applying for a transfer or something like that.
Yeah, it felt very organic. It wasn't really like planned. That's
the best. That is the best way for not just like any D&D game to go, but definitely for like a stream game where a group of people are getting together and watching these people play, and those moments where you can see that group starting to form and those relationships starting to form. Because you all were friends and stuff like that outside of the game. Like that's the nature of this. You do know each other, but your characters don't, and so it's fun seeing the logic of how those characters get to be where you all are. Ryan, since we talked about a favorite moment, what you got a favorite moment from C Team?
Yeah, I mean, I cite that crypt moment a lot. There is I really liked, I'm trying to remember back to like specific moments. I mean, there's a lot of like the big plot point moments that were really fun. There was one moment when Donaar like yelled at everyone and had a big like come to Jesus moment, like about the murder hobo trope, where he was like, we're just killing people that don't deserve to die. This is wrong.
Right.
And that was kind of fun. But I really liked just in thinking back of like what was fun, I liked when we did our Halloween episodes. Jerry made separate characters, and we would like go to this haunted, spooky inn, and then we wouldn't play C team characters anymore. We would play like monsters and stuff, and I would play a gelatinous cube, and that was just a lot of fun, like to play Vertex. Also, like thinking about it because it's like close to Halloween, and that would be what we would always do. And there was like, there was a werewolf bartender named Treavor who was like a beloved NPC.
That's fantastic.
You would play the skeleton.
Yeah, French is the only voice I can do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I like to do voices. I found out actually when I got to DM a game, I found out I really like doing voices. I'm glad I didn't do a voice for Donaar, because doing a voice day in and day out would probably be jarring and tough to maintain. But I do like doing voices, and I always like doing Vertex's voice. And also, there was a very fun clip we put up on a YouTube short recently, and I saw it. It made me laugh.
What is it? The one where he's like, "My life is the best."
Yeah, where he's like, talking to the one kid.
They look at
like
me,
Def
it's
Jr.
Yeah.
I look like I've got it all together. It's a lie. I'm barely hanging on.
You're very good at pulling those moments out and running with that ball, like and finding the turns of phrase that just like that keep it running, rather than like I feel like I stall out, or like I'm afraid to push too far into a scene. But you've always been good at like, I'm gonna grab it. This Vertex is miserable, and this is how he's gonna convince the other guy.
I could put together. It's funny because I always feel like my improv was the worst of the three of us. I feel like you and Kate and Tris were way better at like finding a moment and like leading it to another moment, like stringing a story together. But within a dialogue, I can improv stupid lines. Like I'm like, I can improv that. I'm good at that.
Yeah, I know that like one of the things in improv in general I am very afraid of, and I don't like, because I like to improvise humor, but what I want is the opportunity structurally to be able to say, no, this is bad. We should end the scene. This is for improv, not for D&D. But like finding a way out in game, it feels a lot more organic rather than, because you've crafted these characters and you live with them, you understand them, rather than, you're a shopkeeper and I'm a pregnant woman, I'm about to have a baby, and like the scene is not funny, but improv rules are like, no, keep going, see where it goes. No, I don't want to do that. That's very frightening to me. No, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard, like, especially because we're being recorded, so I'm aware that we are playing a game and it has to be entertaining. There's like a subroutine running in the back of your head. You try to forget it, but it is there. And then it's like, but like as a player, I'm like, I want my character to survive. I want to win the game. So like you have to balance these two things where it's like, I want to put on a good performance, but I also want to not die and I want to win, which is like solve the conflict. And a lot of times like winning is like, I want to run away. I want to the scene and get out of this thing. And it's like, that's not a good story, but there's a part of me that's like, let's beat feet. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm doing my first like ongoing stream D&D game right now, and I'm as a player, and I'm finding that happening because I'm like, okay, I'm gotta make sure to like set up this scene so it feels like my character's being cool. And oh my god, I've lost a lot of health. It's like, do I just stay here and make it look cool? Because I might just drop if I keep doing this.
Yeah.
That is the struggle for players everywhere. One of the things that I wanted to actually before I do that, because I think it's around that time that I should start talking about this, we're gonna be doing a giveaway here in a little bit, chat, so keep an eye out. Gabe will put a keyword into chat, and you can enter for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice, excluding Bahamut chests. Good luck. Yes, exactly. Gasps. I will say, like, 42 chests is a lot. Like, I
feels like a lot.
Yeah, we do that every week, and I'm like, are we sure we want to do this every week? That's a lot of chests.
That's a lot. That's not a small number.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I 42 Donaar chests, like, you're getting a lot of good stuff there.
You're getting good stuff for the best character.
It's powerful. Strong, isn't he?
You know what I just realized? Kthris was actually the first character I unlocked in Idle Champions. Like way back in the day when I was just downloaded the game one day, like Cthulhu was there, I'm like, hey, I know who that is. I'm gonna unlock them.
That's the first and he's in there. He's the character in there.
He is the character that is in there now. Yes. I want to talk to you all about PAX and specifically live shows, because like I've gotten to talk to different people who have participated in these things, and while y'all do participate in them, you also have like a lot in setting them up. Like how hectic is a live show at PAX?
How hectic
Charged
is
with erotic energy.
Yeah.
It's not hectic for me because I'm told where to go and what to do. And that's it. Ryan, I think your mileage varies significantly.
Yeah. My PAXs are incredibly hectic for me, but that's because PAX is like what I'm there to do. So then it's like I have to schedule, like when we were doing C-Team live games, I'd have to schedule them at a time where I would not be busy. So it could never be like on a Friday or Saturday because they're always the busiest days. And then also like, behind the scenes when we were putting it together and stuff, it's like I'm the one putting together the itinerary, telling everyone where to go. So it is very, very hectic. But also like we have a great staff and team, and Laura handles a lot of the stuff and she is amazing. So it's very manageable, but it is doing the live games for me in particular is kind of crazy. But I will say when we did them, once you get on stage, it was a lot of fun. It was also a lot of fun being able to like hear. It's like we were at the table. I wasn't reading. I couldn't see chat while we were playing. And then so it was handy for me when we were playing. Like I would hear people like yell like, "You should do this," and I was like, "Oh shit, that's a good idea." Thank you, stranger, for telling me to reminding me I get 2 attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah. The cadence is very different rather than just like we're trying to make each other laugh. We're trying to entertain each other. But now like this audience is you're waiting for the beats. It's like, and you hold on stuff.
Yeah. It was weird hearing laughs to jokes too, because most of the time I'm just saying dumb comments and then staring directly across at Kate, just trying to mess with Kate. So it's like it was just funny to hear other people laugh at the stuff that when I'm trying to break Kate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it definitely goes without saying that like that doing a stream game versus a live game, especially in front of the size of the audience y'all doing, is vastly different. But like, what would you? If you had to pick one, what would you say is the preferable way you like to play it? Like either streaming it or in front of everybody?
I think in front of everybody was like we did, during like the pandemic, the first end of it, like that was the season 4 of C-Team, and we tried to do it streaming, and it was very difficult because like just the rhythms having to work with delays in the signal. It's just like sorry, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say? No, I wasn't gonna say anything. Just a lot of that type of thing. The only thing I liked about it was that there's across the table I could see you and I could see Tris, but I never really got to see Kate or Jerry. So I didn't get to play off of them visually. Like I couldn't see what they were responding to. I could see what both of you were responding to, and I'd feed off of that. But on Zoom, like you could see everybody's faces and you could sort of map. I remember that was super useful when we did a couple episodes, and Anna was playing Evelyn there too. It's like there's a lot of faces on the screen, but this is the only opportunity I'll have to actually see how they're responding, or if they look like they have something to add. But I much prefer in person.
Yeah, but you mean in person in the studio or in person on a stage?
Yeah, I realize
I mean in the studio. Yeah. Because on stage it is like it is a version of the character that may, like, even in waiting for an audience to react, there's a timing difference. It doesn't feel as natural. It's more practiced.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm same. I really like the studio games. It's the studio's smaller, it's more intimate. And they were always a lot of fun. And the same, I do not do well on our Zoom games. They are it's very hard because you can't make eye contact. It's really hard to like. Also, again, speaking to, I am very aware of like my limitations as a as an improvisation and as a player. And like my strengths are making dumb comments and ruining everyone else's time, essentially jumping in, saying fart joke, and then running away. And it's like Zoom doesn't accommodate that at all.
No.
Zoom is
You
good
can't
if you
put
have a
it under
bunch
the
of people.
radar. Yeah.
If you have like, and there are games like this, and it's totally fine. If you have like 4 or 5 players, and everyone's really good at like, okay, this is my scene. I'm going to take over. I'm going to like do a soliloquy. That's great. But like Zoom like really is not good right now, as I'm the only one talking and giving an answer, and everyone has to wait till I'm done because otherwise the system can't pick up. It's like that isn't good for how I play.
Yeah, I liked a lot of the stuff in the show. I don't know how well it translated to podcast form, but like we would make a joke that like you'd hear it, or like somebody would hear it, and it's just loud enough that maybe the audience also heard it. And then it just sits and nobody responds to it, and that's fine and let go. And that's just a treat if you found it. But on Zoom, it's like say something like, "What? I'm sorry, what were you saying? Did you have something?" No, I made a joke. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
not worth repeating.
I will say I did like, because I was just saying how when we were in the studio, we're not looking at chat. We're at the table engaging with each other. When we were on Zoom, I could see the chat.
Yeah.
And that was kind of helpful. Just like with the live audience, I was like, oh, that person's right. I think they did solve the mystery. Let me act like I'm not looking at the chat, but I was looking at the chat the whole time. Every one of those games, I was looking at the chat.
Something occurs to me.
Yeah.
I have
from the ether.
Thought.
Yeah. I definitely understand the Zoom thing. I my home game we play on Discord because all of us are spread out, and there's definitely those moments where everyone is getting confused and it has to be like, all right, hang on, let's stop for a moment. So let's pull everything back together because I have no idea what everyone is saying because you're all talking over each other. And that doesn't work on like a stream game that you're sending out to people.
And I will say this too, like I know a lot of people that play like that and have to for various reasons. Your group gets split up. You have to do it that way. And I think if you start that way, it's probably easier once everyone's like used to it. But we did like 4 seasons, 4 years of doing it one way and then trying to adapt it to the other. And like all of our cadences and pattern, it was like relearning how to walk.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think it's better than not playing. I'd play it now.
Yeah, I mean,
right now, let's do it.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, let's roll.
All right, roll for initiative.
Okay, so we're gonna hop over to. We got a couple of questions from chat. And chat, you can still send those in with question colon then your question. But we're gonna start off with the lurking writer says, question for Kris. What was the process for creating the Ack Inc. animation / themes? Where did the lyrics come from, for example?
They came from my mind. They came from
they did.
Part of me that works the mouth and the rest of me, just the brain. That's how the words show up sometimes. Well, I'm told to do it also.
I mean, that helps.
I was given a lot of latitude, though. I'm very grateful for being able to work on this stuff because it's usually, I think, in a creative process like this, it's like, here's what I'm going to be doing. I'll present this months ahead. Do we like this? Here's notes back. Change this. We don't like how this character is, et cetera, et cetera. We don't like this joke. But there's so much like, I'm turning this in 11th hour. Like and there's a lot of trust in my voice and what I'm bringing to it, and I'm very appreciative of it. I know it's very rare, but I like doing this stuff, and I like these people, and I like this game. It just comes from here. I don't know where the ideas come from. It's like, I want to make it sound like a sitcom. Okay, let's do that. I don't know if that answers the question, but
I think it does. Yeah, I wanted to also kind of piggyback off this with the recaps that you do for like some of the live games and stuff. Like I remember way back in the day, like it was like the the joke that legitimately made me bust up laughing was when you just started calling Orcus Orca, like just had Orca on the screen for that. I found that ridiculously funny.
Yeah, and it's just like scribbling out like, oh, sorry, not a whale, not a whale. I
Yeah.
messed up. Yeah. I think there was a lot of fun in those early ones, especially like the more I've done it, the more I'm like, no, it should be polished. Like I got away from the idea that like, no, it looks kind of bad on purpose, and that makes it sillier. But now I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it very rigid and very strictly. It's like, no. I think it's more fun when it's a mess.
I mean, I've enjoyed all of them, but the mess was definitely pretty funny. Like, just I don't know why, but just having the little floating character, like Jim Dark Magic, just floating there and hearing Mike's voice was just always entertaining to me.
Yeah, I don't even know where the pose came from. I
The
don't.
pose is ridiculous,
and just like exaggerating them in ways that the characters are not. You know,
yeah.
like Omen is not a huge man,
and his mouth is always covered, and I loved that design for that, even though that's not how he's designed anywhere else.
No,
no,
worked there.
Way before I was playing or even working on packs, and that was always my favorite part of each episode was the recaps in the beginning. That's a dream. It's a dream. A spoiler. I don't know that we'll ever get to do it, but I've talked about it a lot. Like I would love to do a series and then like half of it is like animated. So we would record an episode and animate it in Kris's style. I think that would be so fun.
Yeah. If it's not me doing it, I think it would be very fast to do.
Yeah. Like work with an animation company, but do it in that style, like the intros. So we'd like record a game and then cut it up. So it wouldn't be like a, writing a story, like creating our own, like, short show. It would just be like animating over an episode, essentially. I thought would be really fun. But
that would be so cool.
Oh, it requires so much work.
It's I'm just over like, oh, please do that. That's so cool. But that's a mountain of work for you all. I wanted to call it one from the Chow's Tyrant Thesaurus. The one game with the Cryptoland intro was honestly incredible. That one was fantastic.
That was very fun. Yeah, I was learning 3D, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Just do it here.
I always loved the. Did you also do like the one where it was like this is the company video, like Welcome to ACK Inc. thing, like with the
like the intern
orientation.
Orientation.
That one cracked me up. I loved that so much. That little jingle in the background, like how is this every like employee trainee soundtrack of all time?
There's so much stock music that is just like corporate.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like inspiring. It's stuff like that, and then you just go through the hundreds of them. So it's like this one feels right. This one feels cheesy enough. Some of them are a little too inspiring.
Oh yeah, I used to work for a restaurant. I do all the ordering for them, and like all of these food companies, they're like, "All right, we're gonna put you on hold," and it was always those. And I would start judging the company by the hold music that they had. I'm like, this one's got to be. You can dance to this one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to feel while I'm in the back of this office, just saying, "Please let me get back to my day. I just want to order tomatoes."
They're playing Muzak, thumbs down. They're playing 90s alternative. Oh, now I'm listening.
Yeah,
there we go.
Silverchair. Okay, give me 3 crates.
Silverchair. I would respect the hell out of a company that puts Silverchair as the waiting music. Oh my god.
I'm gonna get an extra box of tomatoes at this point. This is nice stuff.
I was only gonna order a little bit from you guys, but because of Silverchair, we're gonna bump this order up.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to a question from SailNet. Question: is this Kris's favorite time of the year when you can get into venti half calf some saf? What? I don't know what this is.
That's a joke from Blamimations. A vent half calf some saf.
What
was
a
half caffeinated summer saffron beverage, which I guess Starbucks did have for a time. And
saffron?
There was saffron in it. I don't think it was a summer beverage, but
that's a pricey beverage.
A little teaser of saffron within. Yeah, it was pricey. Like it wouldn't be like it was like a mocha is $9.
Yeah,
I don't know what the saffron is going to be at 11. At that point, it's a meal.
But then it just becomes something someone just says in their code of order drink. It's like upside down, drizzle, and all the.
Right.
I don't. First time I heard someone order something upside down, I thought I was losing it. I was in a Starbucks, just being like, no, they just don't know what they're saying anymore. They're just saying words, and the person's giving them something.
They just have to parse it. Yeah. It's a little game.
I've never heard that before, but
apparently what it is
upside down.
The liquid and then pumps instead of pumps then liquid.
Yes, it's literally them doing the process of it backwards, and they're calling it upside down. And I'm like, how does that change anything? I don't understand.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Because I want the syrup on the top, so that I take that first sip, and it's just a flotilla. It's just like it's like a slick on the surface of it.
A flotilla of sugar.
It's like that garbage island floating in the Pacific. Like I want that, but as a drink.
And it's warmed by the rest of the coffee. Then I just throw the rest of it away.
Yeah.
Then I get to the part I don't want. I just want a cup of syrup.
We're all just too ashamed to just order a cup of syrup.
It's like
nobody likes coffee.
On the sidewalk when it gets too hot. It's like I want boiling hot coffee and then a layer of syrup that immediately cooks and hardens. So it's like
caramelized.
It's like a caramelized waffle that I. It's like a Stroop waffle. That
it's a Stroop waffle.
Yeah.
There you go. And then I take the hot beverage, I throw it at a dog. It's just part of my ritual in the morning.
Yeah.
It gets me going.
I really can't get into the office mindset if I don't do that. Yeah.
I love fall.
It's PSL season.
Falling leaves, brisk cool winds, and scalding stray dogs. Those are my three. That's my personal live, laugh, love.
Yeah, that's my list.
Oh boy,
my favorite things.
We gotta start wrapping things up because we got a show coming up after this. But thank you both so much for taking the time today to talk to me not only about Penny Arcade and PAX, but your characters. It's an absolute blast. If people want to find y'all and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
Oh my gosh, what a challenge. I have recently reintegrated everything I've done into my site, KrisStraub.com. You have to know how to spell my name, but you could go there.
Yeah.
And that's where everything I do is there. Oh, and maybe if you're interested in Local 58, maybe Halloween, maybe something will happen.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news here at Isle of Champions. Yeah.
I used to say R Hartman on Twitter. I mean, I'm still on Twitter. I will not call it X. But I'm similar on Blue Sky. I don't know. Just go to PAX. Buy tickets to PAX. Go to PAX. You'll see me at PAX.
There we go.
There.
That's the moral of the story. And thank you, Lauren, for putting up the venture casual skins that I forgot to bring up during this episode that you can get right now in game for both Donaar and Kris, and continue your venture casualing adventures into all of the Acquisitions Incorporated fun.
Delighted to join.
Thank you very much. Then that is going to do it for this week's episode. So thank you all so much for joining. Until next week, take care of yourself.